Hi friends, I'm back with another monotype run in Pokemon Emerald. This time we're ready to rock with, well, the rock type. Oh boy, in the land of too much water, how can this possibly go? I'm gonna have to do a good type eventually, aren't I? The rules are on screen, more detail is in the description if you need it. There are 19 rock types in Emerald. Sadly, Lunatone is not available. Would have liked to have had it because it has Levitate. Also, we have to pick a fossil. So one of Lilip and Cradilli, or Anorith and Armaldo are not going to be available. A shame I can't have both, but we'll get there when we get there. So we have to get 16 rock types. That includes Golem. Oh yes, trade evolutions are enabled. We also get to catch our first legendary this run in Regirock. Pretty exciting. Now, this might be controversial. While I will not be in the habit of using box art legendaries like Lugia, Groudon, Rayquaza, I will be using members of trios based on the Pokemon or type that I'm doing. So for Generation 3, I will be using all 3 Regis. I don't think they're good enough to blow a hole in the run and turn it into an absolute joke because of being too overpowered. I don't think that's going to happen. Doing so is also going to make the Steel type, and especially the Ice type runs, far less suffering, so let me know if you disagree and don't think I should use any of them, but I will say, at least for this run, Regirock will be used. I have no idea how Rock is going to go because of the back half of the game, but let's get in there. Let's get him. Alright, I get to choose my starter this time. I get the choice between Aron and Geodude. Aron's gonna be the starter for the Steel-type run whenever that happens, so I'm gonna go with Geodude. And oh boy, Geodude is amazing. Oh, I forgot to turn off animations. Whoops. I guess enjoy them for now. As I was saying, Geodude is really good. It has 90 base attack, so this early game with it is going to be incredible. We annihilate Zigzagoon after 3 tackles, and yeah, let's go on to rival number 1. Once again, I've elected for Brendan to have Mudkip. He'll have something different, I promise, in future runs. I don't just hate Mudkip. I could have theoretically gone with Trico here because Grass destroys me just as hard as Water does, but the fact that Marshtomp resists me is the reason why I've chosen Mudkip instead of Trico here. Even with Tackle's shoddy accuracy and Mudkip getting 2 crits, it is no match for Geodude, and I steamroll Brendan very quickly and easily. Ooh, Mudsport, I get to lower the damage of electric moves now. Hooray! It isn't all fun and games for Geodude in the early game though. Last Tiana has a Shroomish. But this is going to show you that the Rock type is actually going to struggle with random Grass types. Her Zigzagoon is no threat as expected, but I miss a tackle against the Shroomish and eat an Absorb for around half of my health. I land a tackle as I get hit with a second Absorb, and oh boy, I can actually lose this. She goes for tackle instead of a third Absorb, and I do win. Random Grass types aren't a problem now, but I'm betting they're going to be a gigantic one later. But Geodude is just so good now that it's not a problem. Alright, time for Rock Then. This should hopefully be really easy. Fun fact, I have not actually grinded yet. All the trainers that I've fought up to now is actually what got me to this. Geodude levels up really quickly. We set up our defense curl because, really, why not? And it's time to start chipping away with Rock Throw. I'm not doing that much with it, because it does resist, but it also isn't doing that much to me. Ooh, a crit. Aw, we didn't get the KO. Wish we had, because then we wouldn't have had to deal with the potion on this Geodude. After a few more turns of Rock Throw spam, we defeat the Geodude, and there it is, Magnitude. This is going to make the rest of the fight a joke. This is completely above board also. The level cap is only for starting the fight at the level. Since you do get experience in the middle of the fight, it leads to situations where you start the fight with all of your team and then lose access to some of them in the middle of the fight, which I don't like and doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's why this is completely fine. Speaking of fine, Magnitude is a pretty fine move. We take out Geodude after 2 Magnitudes with the potion, and in comes the Nose Pass. Even setting up the Harden, I'm doing a boatload of damage. Ooh, she's used Block. That's good to know. I only have Geodude, which means that having an HM user or an Abra isn't going to make her use Block, so I can bring those from now on. And yeah, really easy fight. After the last run where she was a nightmare, this is really refreshing. Time for Rival 1A. Rival 1A shouldn't be too bad, as Mudkip only has months left to deal with me, so this shouldn't be too bad. As always, the ever-threatening Slugma starts, and oh, I got outspelled by Slugma. That is really embarrassing, actually. It instantly goes down to Magnitude, and here comes the Mudkip. Oh, it has Water Gun. Makes sense. I was only considering that it was a ground type and forgot about the water entirely. Surprisingly, we don't die, but we only get Magnitude 5, which is not enough to take it out, and yeah, that's a reset. We try again, and right, Slugma has Yawn. I didn't equip a Chesto Berry, so reset again. Alright, attempt 3. Oh, it's a speed tie. That's really funny, actually. Magnitude 6 takes it out, and here comes the Mudkip, and we're at full health. And we go down to a Water Gun, which means it's a range. Oh dear. I actually had to do this fight 6 times because I kept getting the unlucky range to Water Gun, or I was getting low rolls on Magnitude. So this was kind of just a send it until you win fight, and there was not really much that actually could have been done to make it better. Annoying, but whatever, not actually bad. We get to get our first Pokemon now. In Granite Cave, while we deliver our letter to Steven, we can capture an Aron. Yay! Happy to have it. Nosepass is also here, but we have to backtrack for it later, which is really annoying. Alright, this is the first time I passed up the gym, because with a level 9 Aron and my Geodude, I don't think Brawler would have gone well. So I went to Slateport so I could deal with Team Aqua and the stuff on the beach to get Aron some levels. We lead Aron against Machop and promptly go down to a Karate Chop crit. A 4x weak crit, that's gonna happen. We put in Geodude as Machop uses Bulk Up, we land a magnitude 8 for really good damage, and go down to a Karate Chop crit again. We'll pretend that didn't happen. Alright, we try again. We shockingly don't go down to a Karate Chop, getting brought down to 2 HP as we land a Mud Slap. We go down the next turn, we go into Geodude, take a Karate Chop pretty well, land a magnitude 5. 5 isn't good enough to take it out. It can very easily survive another Karate Chop as long as it doesn't crit, which it doesn't, and we take up Machop with a magnitude 8. Metatype can't attack, so let's just get rid of this as fast as possible. We take it out after a magnitude 7 after the Super Potion, and in comes the Makuhita. Oh, I actually outsped, and it actually goes down in one hit to magnitude 8. It definitely used Vital Throw, but I didn't think a magnitude 8 would be enough to take it out. Really glad that it did, because that was supposed to be a counter to us, and it wasn't. It was really easy. Geodude puts on another dominating performance. You'll love to see it. So Rival 1A caused some problems, and here's the actual hard rival fight. I don't think this will be impossible, but I do think I'm going to need to get lucky. Let's get in there. I'm leading Aron against Lombre because Lombre doesn't have any grass or water moves, so Aron is in no danger here, and I'd like Marshtomp to come in on it so I can go for a Mud Slap. Nature Power Swift does a grand total of 1 damage, and yeah, even with a Growl, Headbutt is going to be a 3-shot. Here comes the Marshtomp. I probably should have used Iron Defense, actually, because I do have that, and I get destroyed by Mudshot. Geodude quickly follows suit and goes down to a Water Gun. That also crits. I correct my mistake, and I go for Iron Defense immediately. Oh, Lombre actually does have Absorb. Well, there goes potentially starting the fight with the Geodude. That is not happening anymore. It goes down after 3 headbutts again, and hopefully I can survive a hit from Marshtomp. Ooh, it went for Bide. That means I will survive. I can start going for Mud Slap now. While I'm not a big fan of doing this, I think I need to. I'm able to land a handful of them before Aron gets taken out by Water Gun from 30 health. That was what, 4, 5 Mud Slaps? Surely Geodude will be fine. Marshtomp misses a Water Gun. Ooh, magnitude 6 is not going to do it. Yeah, I think I need 8. And then we go down to Water Gun. Alright, I'm going to go fight a trainer to get Aron some more experience so that it levels up in this fight. We get really bad damage ranges here, and we actually need 4 headbutts to defeat Lombre this time. It isn't a problem, because we only got hit by 1 Absorb, and we level up as planned. Marshtomp goes for Bide, and time to start setting up. I'm actually able to get all 6 Mud Slaps down. I even get to land a pair of headbutts before I go down. Surely Geodude has this. A missed Water Gun means the fight is over, and after Marshtomp goes down, Slugma comes in and goes down very quickly to a magnitude 5. Poor Slugma, it's not even quad weak yet. So yeah, I did about 8 or 9 attempts of that fight in total. A luck-based strategy will do that. However, time for a fight that we need no luck to beat whatsoever. I lead Aron against Voltorb, and Voltorb wants absolutely nothing to do with me. Can't say I blame it. Electrike comes in next, and Aron immediately gets paralyzed by static after I land a headbutt. Unlucky, but a second headbutt takes it out pretty easily. Time for the only threat of the fight. Aron is taken out by Shockwave, and now here comes Geodude to just clean up the rest of the fight. Magneton actually can defeat Geodude if I get really unlucky. I don't though, as I dodge Supersonic and then land Magnitude 10. I think Magnitude 5 probably would have been enough to defeat that. We level up to 24, and 1 more Magnitude should be enough. I get Magnitude 8, and yeah, that went as expected. With our 3rd badge, we can collect a few new Pokemon. We have to backtrack to Granite Cave to smash a rock to get Nosepass. Coming out of Fiery Path, we evolve Geodude into Graveler. On Route 113, we collect our Slugma. Sadly, we have to experience share this thing to level 38. Well, time to start that if I want to have any hope of using my cargo. And finally, in the Meteor Falls, we capture Solrock. Wow, a big team update. Alright, Maxie won. I'm not really that worried about him right now because Camerupt doesn't have Earthquake yet. It isn't free because it does have Magnitude. But, let's get in there. I lead Solrock against Mighty Anna to eat the Intimidate. I miss 2 times as I get hit by Sand Attack twice, then I decide to swap out into Nosepass and promptly get crit by Bite. Going down on the following turn after being outsped. Mighty Anna should not cause this much trouble. We go into Aron and promptly miss Headbutt. We hit our 2nd Headbutt and then crit with the 3rd one as Maxie uses the Super Potion. We only miss 1 more Headbutt, and we don't flinch at all, which is kind of amazing. And even though we get brought down to 13 HP, we're able to defeat the Mighty Anna. Shocking absolutely no one, Camerupt comes in. I leave Aron in because I don't want to take a Magnitude on anyone else, forgetting that Solrock had Levitate. So I could have just gone into that and been fine. I remember that going forward, I assure you. I think. Please yell at me if I don't. I go into Graveler, and we trade Magnitude 7s. I get lucky with the crit though. I don't think the crit mattered, but it may have, and I really don't want to actually find out if it did or not. Ooh, Slugma's getting big. We don't flinch to Bite. and we one-shot it with Rock Throw. Yeah, pretty easy. Flannery should also be pretty easy. I go with Soul Rock against Numel. I land a pair of Rock Throws as Numel goes for Sunny Day, which is then followed up with the Hyper Potion. I go for Confusion to see how much it does at. Oh yeah, that was way worse. Rock Throw is way better. I can go for Confusion on this last hit though. Ooh, a crit. It definitely mattered. I wish I could match her Slugma with my own, but I can't because it isn't a rock type yet. So we throw a rock at it and yep, take it out immediately. Poor Slugma. We miss Rock Throw against Camerupt, and yeah, this is going to be a 4-shot as she sets up the sun again. Oh god, she went for Overheat, and that actually destroyed me. Yeah, I thought she was just going to spam Tackle again, but I guess not. I go into Nosepass for 2 reasons. 1, to get an experience, and 2, because I want to Thunder Wave the Torkoal. Even though Nosepass is not doing that much to Camerupt, the crit really helps though. Camerupt is back to spamming Tackle, and after a few turns of that, here comes the Torkoal. We outspeed and land our Thunder Wave as we get blown up by Overheat and go down. With this being paralyzed, it is not that much of a threat anymore, so Graveler's able to come in and use Magnitude. I get Magnitude 7, and oh dear, that was not a lot. I guess Torkoal does have really good defense. Body Slam doesn't paralyze, and after a pair of mid-magnitude rolls, yeah, Torkoal goes down. Wasn't quite as easy as Watson, but still pretty easy. We actually get to venture into the desert now. In the Mirage Tower, we get to pick a fossil. Even though I would love to be able to have both of these right now, there is one clear choice here. Credillia is going to be far more useful than Armaldo, so we take the root fossil. Sorry, Armaldo fans. I revive Lileep and Rust Boron. It'll be a while before it can do anything, but I'm glad I have it now. Rock resists normal, so I think I'm going to have a nice, easy time against Norman here. Here's hoping at least. Leading with Sol Rock against Spinda. I actually outspeed Spinda, which is really nice. Rock Throw is looking to be a 4-shot, which is kind of unfortunate, but Spinda is just kind of going for a Facade. A crit Facade doesn't even do that much, which is really nice. This is far better than Teeter Dance. Norman uses a Hyper Potion, and yeah, Spinda just refuses to use Teeter Dance. So with the pitiful damage it's doing, it's going to go down without a problem. The Vigoroth comes in, and I make the choice to sack Soul Rock here because I don't think it is going to outspeed anything else that Norman has, so it is dead weight at this point. I go into Nosepass so I can set up a Thunder Wave. Having Thunder Wave is really nice, actually. I set up Harden because it can't Encore me because it is paralyzed, so I figured I might as well. I forgot that Feint Attack is actually a special move and not a physical move, so it was kind of worthless. I switch out Nosepass because bringing it on Slacking on a Truant turn and paralyzing it is probably going to be a really good idea. I go into Aron because, oh yeah, we're para-flinching. Sadly, we don't get any fully paralyzes or headbutt flinches, so we do take a lot of damage, but it's okay because Vigoroth does go down and that's all that matters. Oh, here comes the Slacking. I get hit by Yawn as I go for Iron Defense, which admittedly was quite stupid. However, it is not as stupid as switching Nosepass in on the Truant turn and then getting destroyed before I can go for Thunder Wave. Whoops. I will not make that mistake again. Back into Aron to use Mud Slap because it'll hopefully keep him from hitting me with counter. I weave in Metal Claws to try to get attack boosts, which I sadly don't get, and eventually it just takes me out with Feint Attack. Time to go into my best Pokemon, Graveler, who should be able to defeat Slacking with a third of its health missing. Magnitude really lets me down here. After the opening Magnitude 7, I get some of the worst Magnitude luck I've ever seen. I could have self-destructed and taken out the Slacking before the Hyper Potion went down, but Lileep would not have been able to defeat Lanoon by itself, so we're going to eat a loss here. That was still pretty promising. Let's get back in there. We start the fight again the same way. This time after 2 Rock Throws though, I get hit with Teeter Dance. But, surprise surprise, I remembered my Person Berries. Hooray! Sadly I get hit with Teeter Dance again after that, as the Hyper Potion goes down. It would be really nice if I could equip more than 1 Person Berry, or had the Harvest ability. We finally break through Confusion, landing a crit Rock Throw, which is really nice, but we get confused again and take ourselves out before we're able to defeat the Spinda. Highly unlucky and annoying. I bring in Aron, who eats a Confusion immediately. Aron doesn't have a Person Berry. I have a Silk Scarf equipped to it instead, so I eat a Confusion and hit myself once. Luckily it's only a 1-turn Confuse, and I'm able to take out the Spinda with a crit headbutt. The crit felt good. He brings the Slacking in again on Aron. I wonder why he's doing that. Time to go for Mud Slap again. However, this time it's different. I can actually bring Nosepass in safely because it has not fought the Vigoroth yet, so it is still at full health. I paralyze Slacking, go for a pair of Rock Throws, missing one before I nope out and go into Lileep, because I would like to try to get some acid defense drops. I thought it was 30%, but upon looking it up, it was actually only 10%, so whoops. But I did crit twice in a row, so even though I didn't get a defense drop, I still won in the end. We get obliterated in 1 shot by Facade, so now I can put Graveler in, and hopefully I get better Magnitude luck. We get a Magnitude 9 on our second usage of it, which is really nice. Slacking Citrus Berry is used, and after a Magnitude 6, I don't trust it anymore, and I'm going to just self-destruct, which decimates it. But the problem is, now what? I still have to defeat 2 Pokemon. With 10 HP and no speed, Nosepass is worthless at this point, so I just send it out first just to put it out of its misery. If I just had to fight Linoone, I think Aron could have won, but because Vigoroth has Feint Attack, Aron is not going to be able to defeat both at once, so I lose again. I'm going to try again because I do think at this level, if I play a little bit less badly and get slightly better luck, I think I've got it. I get really good luck against Spinda this time. I get hit by Teeter Dance just before he uses his Hyper Potion, so I'm able to land 2 free rock throws as he uses the potion. Getting hit by Teeter Dance a second time, I don't hit myself, and Spinda goes down with Solrock at 39 HP. I take Feint Attack badly from Vigoroth, I forgot Solrock was Psychic type, and then hit myself in confusion, taking myself out. Whoops. I go into Nosepass to Thunder Wave Vigoroth, and then switch out immediately into Aron to try Paraflinching again. What follows here can only be described as an unmitigated disaster. First, I misclick Metal Claw and miss, then I get crit with Feint Attack. Vigoroth is then fully paralyzed, and then it crits me again with Feint Attack. Nothing happens on the following turn, but then I crit with Headbutt, taking out the Vigoroth. That was really bad all around. I switch out when Slacking comes into Nosepass because I know I can survive a hit. I do take a hit, paralyze the Slacking, and then crit with Rock Throw. What is happening in this fight? I go down to Feint Attack on the following turn, I bring in Aron again with 9 HP, I go for Mud Slap on the Truant turns, and Headbutt on the turns where it can act. And let's see how much more scum this fight can have. I get 1 flinch, 1 fully paralyzed, 2 fully paralyzed, and then misclick Metal Claw and go down to a Feint Attack. What an awful, awful fight. Graveler is now able to come in, and we have to play the Magnitude Roulette again. I am not able to take it up before the Hyper Potion gets used because even though it crit, I believe Magnitude 5 is still 30 base power, so it does basically nothing. However, the game is clearly taking pity on me because even though I'm getting awful Magnitude rolls, Slacking is not actually going to do any more damage because it is fully paralyzed every turn it can act. We even get another Magnitude 5 crit. I believe that was the 4th Magnitude 5. I kind of wish we had gotten a 5th one because it would have been very funny. We finally get a Magnitude 9 to take out the Slacking, and this has probably been the worst fight I have ever had. We finally get to see Linoone. It only has normal moves, so Headbutt flinching is the only thing it can try to do. I get 2 really good Magnitude rolls, so the Linoone has no chance here. What an absolute catastrophe. The amount of good and bad luck on both sides there was astronomical. The easy fights continue here with rival number 3. Lombre can't do a single thing to Aron, only hitting at most 2 damage, so after a few headbutts it goes down. Shocking nobody, the Marshtomp comes in next, but I remember that Solrock has Levitate, so it can't actually do anything to me, because it doesn't have a water attack, so after a few confusions it goes down, and the Slugma is instantly taken out by Rock Throw. Sad. Time for yet another gym that I have the type advantage against. However, Winona is an interesting one. This is the first fight that shows that Rock is not the defensive juggernaut that it was in Generation 1, and why it is one of the worst defensive types in the series. Let's get in there. I lead Nosepass against Swablu, I paralyze with Thunder Wave, and then Rock Throw does really good damage. I'm half a level away from Rock Slide here, but Rock Throw is actually better. Because it doesn't do as much damage as Rock Slide, I'm able to land 2 Rock Throws and have her waste a Hyper Potion on Swablu, which is perfect. It gets a crit on its final hit, but that's not really a problem. That thing's never going to be hard. Tropius comes in, and I paralyze it with Thunder Wave as it charges up Solar Beam. I switch Lilip in to tank Solar Beam badly. I get pretty decent paralysis luck, however it doesn't really matter because Acid isn't doing that much. After a few turns of that, I get taken out, so I go into Solrock and blast it with Overheat. I wish that had killed, but a follow-up Rock Throw will do the trick just fine. Here comes Pelipper. I know it's going to go for Protect turn 1, which it does, so I switch into Aron on the Protect. It goes for Protect the second time, which is annoying, but then it lands a Supersonic, and Aron hits itself in confusion. And then I get taken out by Water Gun. Nosepass gets out sped and goes down to a Water Gun. So does Graveler, actually. That was from full health. Solrock luckily outspeeds, but misses Rock Throw. I then get hit with Supersonic, hit myself in confusion, and then die to a crit Water Gun. Oh dear, I just got swept by Water Gun. That's really embarrassing. I try again, and the Swablu basically goes as it did before. However, there's one difference here. I didn't notice it set up Safeguard, so when Tropius comes in, Thunderwave gets blocked by it. I go into Leap again to tank the Solar Beam and to get something in safely. Going into Aron, who gets destroyed by Solar Beam after some chip aerial ace damage. Okay, yeah, this isn't happening. I can clear out all this stuff on the way to Lily Cove and just waste some time walking back to Fort Retreat, so this isn't actually that bad. One of the coolest things about doing a monotype run like this is that you sometimes learn things that you didn't know. For instance, did you know that Magnet Pull also traps your ally in a double battle? I certainly didn't, and Aron paid the price for it. Wild, isn't it? What is very known information, though, is that Rival 4 is worthless. I'm leading with Aron because I need experience still, because I can evolve very shortly. Magical Leap does a surprising amount of damage to me, but then he switches into Marshtomp? Okay, well, we've seen this before. I switch into Solrock on the Mud Shot, and yeah. I get a lucky confusion, but all I'm really going to do is just speed this up. It doesn't really matter. Marshtomp goes down, and here comes the Tropius. I blast it with Overheat, and yeah, deal with it. Here comes the Ludicolo. I go into Nose Pass because I want to paralyze it. Oh no, it has a Grass move again. Uh-oh. Nose Pass is able to tank a second Absorb, but after that, I go into Lilip because I want more experience on it, and here we go. Time for Acid. I'm trying not to do stuff this grindy in these runs, but I really need Lilip to have experience because I think I need it to fight Winnow's Pelipper. The Absorb crit is annoying because it is going to extend this fight an extra like 2 or 3 turns, but in the end it does go down without a problem. The poor Slugman is going to come out, and here comes Graveler to ruin its day with Magnitude, which it does instantly with a Magnitude 6. Time for a bit of team building. As I clear out Mount Pyre, Aron evolves into Lairon, and in the Safari Zone, I'm able to collect Rhyhorn. Alright, back to Winona. I'm still not at the level cap because I really don't think I need to be. I hope I'm not wrong. Nosepass has Rock Slide now. While it still doesn't get a one-shot on Swablu, this is actually better because it means we can still make her waste a potion, which is very nice. Thunderbolt looks to be a 2-shot. Scratch that, it's a range. Guess I should have used Rock Slide again, and a third Thunderbolt takes it out. Really wish that had been a 2-shot. As Tropius comes in, I switch out because I remember that Safeguard was up, so I go to Solrock as Tropius charges up Solar Beam. Overheat does really good damage, and we get blasted by Solar Beam, and we survive on 1 HP. I did not expect that. I expected to die very badly. Pelipper is in next, so I bring out Lilip, who is officially online at this point. Water Gun doesn't do a lot, which is great, and here comes the Protect spam. It misses a Supersonic while I land a Confuse Ray. Time to see how much damage Giga Drain does. It's not great, but it'll do. We get crit by Aerial Ace, which isn't bad because Giga Drain is giving us health back. I correctly predict the Protect on the next turn, and I go for Confuse Ray instead of wasting my last Giga Drain. So very good job, me. We get hit by Supersonic and hit ourselves, which is not optimal, but on the following turn we don't hit ourselves and take out the Pelipper with our final Giga Drain. Wasn't great, but the fact that Lilip was able to fight Pelipper was really good. We're breaking new ground here as Skarmory comes in and immediately destroys Lilip with Steel Wing. Solrock won't be able to take it out in one hit with Overheat, so I figured that whittling it down a bit is definitely smart. We get hit with another Steel Wing here, and I should have probably gone for Self-Destruct here instead of Rock Throw. However, we're never punished as Skarmory misses its Steel Wing and we blow up on the Skarmory, hitting it and taking it out. That's all well and good, but now what? Nosepass is outsped before it can use Thunder Wave and gets taken out by Earthquake. I send in my shiny new Lairon, who is 4 times weak to Earthquake. Shockingly, I actually survive. So I get to hit Headbutt, which doesn't do a whole lot, and then go down on the following turn. And then yeah, Solrock is outsped and we lose. It's okay, I know what to do from that fight. Still leading with Nosepass. We're not punished for missing Rock Slide because Swablu just goes for Mirror Move. This is why I was using Thunderbolt instead of Rock Slide. We don't take any more damage as we land another Rock Slide as Swablu uses Parashong, and then we're able to pick up the KO with Thunderbolt. Swablu didn't set up Safeguard, so I'm able to hit Thunder Wave, and then I actually switch into Lairon. Tropius is actually the only thing that Lairon is able to fight, so yeah. So I get to go for Paraflinch here. We take a Solar Beam kind of badly, so I'm just going to go for Iron Tail because I think after 2 headbutts it'll be enough to take it out, and it is. Going into Lairon also does double duty because I wanted to bait the Altaria in. It does come in, takes out my Lairon with Earthquake, which allows me then to go into Nosepass. Unless it crits, I know I can survive an Earthquake, which then allows me to get off a Thunder Wave, which I think is going to be very crucial. I go into Graveler, who will be faster. Rock Throw actually does the perfect amount of damage because it allows the Oranberry to trigger and I think push her out of potion range. Even with Dragon Dance, I'm still faster and a second Rock Throw is able to get rid of it. That Oranberry is a really bad item on her. I think she would actually be better off without it. The Pelipper comes in next, and time for Lilip. You've seen this song and dance before, so I'll just speed through this. I am getting significantly worse luck though, and a very badly timed Aerial Ace crit actually brings down Lilip with Pelipper at about 40% of its health left, so I'm a little bit concerned here. I bring in Solrock, and Lilip actually did enough damage for Solrock to take it out with Rock Throw. Time for the Skarmory. We miss Overheat, which is really, really bad, and Steel Wing does around half, so oh dear. We luckily land the second Overheat, and we get hit by a second Steel Wing, and we survive on 1 HP again. Solrock is a legendary creature. The third Overheat is enough to defeat Skarmory, and yeah, she was supposed to be a type advantage for me, and she was actually the hardest gym leader so far, so that's a little concerning. Considering we're about to go into the too much water phase of the game, we have Person Berries for Maxi 2 this time, which is great. We immediately get hit by Swagger, use our Person Berry, and hit a Magnitude 8, which is going to make him use a Super Potion. Our follow-up Magnitude basically puts us back to where we started. We sadly get hit by Swagger again, and we hit ourselves, chunking us real good. It then uses Roar. I despise this thing. Lairon gets roared in, and I go for Headbutt because I don't want to risk Iron Tail missing. And I don't get the KO, which is really annoying because Lairon is the one thing on the team right now without a Person Berry. We then hit ourselves. At least we do snap out on the following turn and get rid of it with the second headbutt, so it wasn't really that bad in the end. To absolutely nobody's surprise, the camera up comes in, so I get to go to Soul Rock here on the Earthquake. I set up a Cosmic Power because why not, as it goes for Amnesia. I don't want to risk Rock Throw misses, so I'm just going to go for a few confusions just to see if it's worth doing, and it really isn't, so time to switch to Rock Throw. It does far more than confusion, so yeah. We then miss our second Rock Throw. I am so sick of rock moves at this point, it's not even funny. The fact that none of them, aside from Ancient Power, have 100 accuracy is so bad. Soul Rock goes down before Camera Up does, but it is low enough that anything can come in to take it out. I go into Rhyhorn because I'd like to get some experience on it, and I do think I can survive Earthquake. I don't, and I get taken out immediately. Whoops. I go into Lolly, who does survive the Earthquake, which is kind of surprising. The issue is I don't think Giga Drain's going to kill, so I have to go for Confuse right here. That was kind of really stupid. Ooh, Flamethrower. That'll be useful. What isn't exciting is Crobat coming in. The leap goes down, which isn't a problem. Graveler is capable of surviving a hit and blowing up, but I then flinch. Lairon should be fine. We get hit by Confuse Ray, but we don't hit ourselves, and then miss our Iron Tail. We then follow that up by hitting ourselves. We then snap out and actually do land Iron Tail, so that's pretty good. And then we get crit by Bite and lose. Okay, that was really annoying. Considering my levels, that went way better than I thought, even with all the bad luck. Let's try again. We get far worse luck with Magnitude this time, getting Magnitude 4 on our free turn. We then follow that up by hitting ourselves, but then on the turn that it uses Roar again, we snap out of Confusion, land a Magnitude 6, which actually does a lot of damage. Rhyhorn gets roared in, he uses a Super Potion as I land a Rock Blast for not great damage. Rhyhorn has a Person Berry, so the Swagger's fine, but I'm going to try something new here. I'm going to go for Scary Face to try to see if Rhyhorn's going to be able to outspeed. Sadly, it doesn't work. I don't outspeed, I get hit by Swagger, and then immediately hit myself in Confusion. But then it, for some reason, goes for Roar again, and I actually take it out. Here comes the camera up, so let's go to Soul Rock and set up a Cosmic Power. He hasn't gone for Amnesia yet, so I can go for Confusion until he does that. That's pretty decent damage. He then sets up an Amnesia, so it's time to start using Rock Throw, and I missed the second one. We don't miss anymore. Camera Up used enough takedowns to whittle itself down so that Soul Rock was actually able to pick up the kill without really much of a problem. I sack Soul Rock so Graveler can come in for free, and promptly miss Rock Throw. Yeah. Luckily, I don't get flinched by Bite, and I'm able to blow up on Crobat, winning me the fight. That was still far better than I thought it would go, considering the level discrepancy, so I will take it. And now it's time for the main event. We skip ahead to Moss Deep Gym, where Slugma evolves into Magcargo. Consider the run done at this point. I can't lose anymore. Alright, first attempt at Tate and Liza. We are horribly underleveled, but I think this might go okay. I lead Soul Rock and Leap, because Soul Rock has Levitate, and I want to see how much damage Giga Drain does to the Claydol. Unfortunately, we don't get to do that as Leap hits itself in Confusion and then just gets destroyed by Psychic. A shame. Rhyhorn is just fodder here, so that's fun. It's okay, I have a plan. I'm gonna go Boom. Graveler tanks the Earthquake pretty well, and goes Boom. And the Claydol doesn't go down. Oh dear, I needed that. It is actually completely fine. Claydol is not going to use Earthquake because it's going to heal, and the sun is up. Perfect for Magcargo's debut. Soul Rock's Overheat does okay damage, and then Magcargo's Flamethrower does not even come close to killing it. So after that embarrassing display, my morale is thoroughly broken, but it's okay. I know what'll fix this problem. Despite that embarrassing display, that was a pretty good attempt, but I'm going to go to Pacific Town to go get Corsola. This also allows me to evolve Graveler into Golem. Based on Graveler self-destruct, I'm pretty sure Golem will just take out the first two things no problem by itself. After wasting 10 minutes in Pacific Town, I actually found my Corsola on Route 128. This will be good for the double rock types just in case I need it. Alright, with Golem, I don't think this will be that bad. All that needs to happen is that Xatu does not need to use Confuse Ray, and it doesn't. So I'm fairly sure that both of these things are going to go down instantly. We set up our Cosmic Power because I think I need it, and Golem goes Boom, and 1. Oh god, I almost killed Soul Rock there too. And yeah, the Xatu goes down too. Very easy. My Soul Rock goes down to the Lunar Town, kind of expected that, and ooh, a big crit from Giga Drain. That's a great thing to see. Rhyhorn gets absolutely decimated by Solar Beam. Surprisingly, Nosepass also goes down in one hit to a Psychic. I actually thought Nosepass would survive a hit, so yeah. Sunny Day goes up, which is not a problem, but the Calm Mines are, so we need to get rid of that quickly. Iron Tail takes up the Soul Rock, so that's nice, and oh yeah, that's not a lot of damage. Well, Leap goes down as I miss an Iron Tail, that needs to stop happening. I land an Iron Tail and ooh, almost killed it. I hope that Citrus Berry pulls it out of heal range. Uh-oh, Hypnosis, that's a problem. Luckily we hit the last Iron Tail and yeah, very easy actually. With our 7th badge, now for the evil team stuff. I'm actually going to skip the double battle against Maxie 3 because it kind of wasn't very interesting, so let's just go right to Archie. I lead Nose Pass against Mighty Anna because if I can get this thing paralyzed, it will be far, far less annoying. I forgot to equip a Person Berry here. It didn't matter because my Thunder Wave does land, and here we go. I get to go for Paraflinch now. I set up Sandstorm because I was not super impressed with Rock Slide's damage, forgetting that Sandstorm only really does damage in Generation 2. Doing runs like these allow you to remember things that you may have forgotten or didn't know about. I went for Thunderbolt thinking it would kill and was shocked by how little damage it did. We get hit with another Swagger, but it's fine as a second Thunderbolt does take out the Mighty Anna. We flinch to the first Crobat bite, and then get crit by the second one. I would have really liked to paralyze this, but whatever. Oh boy, time for Rhyhorn. We get hit with Confusion Ray, don't hit ourselves, and wait for it, get a crit with Rock Blast, and then hit 5 times, taking out the Crobat. I think this is the very first thing Rhyhorn has done in this run. You love to see it. Here comes the Sharpedo now, and I'm not expecting Rhyhorn to be sticking around for very long. We snap out of Confusion, landing a Stomp for a decent chunk of damage, not being very impressed with the damage. I decided to actually go for Scary Face because, yes. Are you kidding me? This has Swagger too? Archie heals, expected, and then hit ourselves, doing a big chunk of my own health. It then reveals that it has Taunt. This thing is just a Mighty Anna. I didn't realize that. Remember when I said you'll learn things when you do these runs? I didn't know that this thing had no water moves, so my rock types are completely fine here. Giga Drain does a pretty good amount of damage. We then hit ourselves in Confusion and survive the crit slash before taking it out with the second Giga Drain. Beautiful. And yeah, time for the fight that I've been dreading since before I started the run. Alright, here we go. As normal, we are horribly underleveled because we gotta see how we do. And after seeing how much damage Giga Drain did, yep, I've seen enough. Let's go grind a bit. Alright, we're back after a bit of grinding, this time leading with Nose Pass, who takes a Water Pulse badly, but is able to get the paralysis off, which is really nice because Love Disc is really annoying. We switch into our now level 36 Laleep. That is a very important level because we have Amnesia, actually an insane difference. Giga Drain is now also a 2-shot, which is beautiful. And we actually get rid of the Love Disc before it can be really annoying. Celio comes in, and even though Aurora Beam is super effective, it barely does anything. We land Confuse Ray, and oh, it has Encore. Sadly, it snaps out immediately, which is fine, because then we can just confuse it again. We need the Encore to end and to not get put back in it. The Encore does end, and Celio is not able to set it back up, which is beautiful, because now we can start Giga Draining to get our health back. Giga Drain is doing pretty decent damage. It looks like it is going to be a 3-shot. Juan is going to heal with the Hyper Potion, which is perfectly fine. And despite the fact that we were not sustaining perfectly, we survived the final Aurora Beam on 4 HP, get the last Giga Drain off, and take out Celio. Unfortunately, here comes the Kingdra, which I now can't beat because Laleep is gone. Let's go grind again. Alright, after more grinding, we're level 40. I remember the Person Berry this time on Nose Pass. We get the Thunder Wave off, and then go for Thunderbolt, and oh wow, that's a 2-shot. Sadly, we get confused again, but on the next turn we get the second Thunderbolt off, and done. The Celio comes in next. We tank a Water Pulse, which allows us to get the Thunder Wave off, so great. Sadly, we missed the Rock Slide. Oh well. Should have gone for Thunderbolt, but I wanted to be greedy with the flinch chance. Here is where I mess up. I go into Golem, because I'm pretty sure Golem can destroy this thing with Rock Blast. Sadly, I only hit 3 times, leaving it on 1 HP. I'm not punished for it, which will force Juan to use a Hyper Potion, which is good. We get rid of the Celio on the next turn with a 4-hit Rock Blast this time. We got very lucky with that Celio, so I'll take it. Golem's time is over as surprisingly Crawdaunt comes in. I expect the Kingdra. So now we can go into Laleep, go for Confuse Ray. Oh, we get taunted. That's a big problem, and it's going to cost me. The crit Crab Hammer sucks, but the real nail in the coffin is the fact that I don't have the Amnesia boost. Kingdra comes in and destroys me with Ice Beam because I don't have enough health to survive. However, I still have an idea. I go into Solrock and set up a Cosmic Power when Kingdra goes for the first double team. I should have just gone for Rock Slide twice. Well, we've learned. Solrock goes down, and now it's time for my master plan. I take the Water Pulse and go for Mirror Coat, and I don't get rid of it. I thought I was being real cute with that, but not cute enough, I guess. We go down to the next Water Pulse, and yeah, this is over. Alright, yeah, enough of this. I'm just gonna get up to the level cap. At the very least, doing this allows us to finally get Lairon into Aggron, and more importantly, Laleep into Credilli. I think we're good now. Let's see how we do. Alright, we're back with Credilli, who I think is going to blow the roof off this place. Love Disc is just being annoying as it normally does, which is completely fine because it doesn't do any damage. We land a nice chunky Giga Drain, which is going to make him use a Hyper Potion, so excellent start. Because this is going to be a 2-shot, I just go for Ancient Power instead to conserve Giga Drains. Yes, I evolved Credilli at level 43 so that I could have Ancient Power. We would have been 48 otherwise, so having it for this fight is really nice. The Love Disc goes down, the Celio comes in. Even though we hit ourselves, it really doesn't matter. And now we get to use a Rock move against the Ice type, and we get the Omni Boost. Okay, and here comes the Kingdra. Because of the Omni Boost, we are faster, which is nice. We go for Confuse Ray. Sadly, doesn't really do much. Even with +1 special attack, the Giga Drain isn't doing that much. And there's the first double team. But it's okay, we start getting very lucky. Kingdra can't use Rest because it hits itself twice in a row, and Juan does not have time to Hyper Potion it. Oh dear, that was kind of a lot of luck all at once. And after I take out the Whiskash and the Crawdaunt, I actually reset. That was actually way too much luck for me to want to accept. After the reset, while thinking about if I did the right thing or not, I went and caught Relicanth and Regirock before trying Juan again at the same level to see if I can beat him without getting all the luck in the world. I'm going to show a few attempts where I get the Ancient Power Boost and still fail to win the fight. Juan's Kingdra is a very luck-based fight with Resto Chesto plus Double Team plus basically no weaknesses on a bulky Pokemon. So it is here that I will ask you guys, what should I do for luck-based fights like this where I get very good luck and kind of just one-shot the fight? Should I just roll with it, or reset, and try and see if I can beat it without needing tons of luck? Please let me know because I don't actually know what to do. And thank you if you do. Alright, here's the actual win. You've seen this before. We set up Amnesia, destroy the Love Disc after it wastes the Hyper Potion, and yeah, very easy. You've also seen the Celio before. I destroy it with 2 Ancient Powers, getting the Omni Boost on the second one. Alright, let's see how the Kingdra goes. We get good luck with the Confuse Ray. It does get a double team off, but it doesn't actually matter. It hits itself with Confusion when it needs to, and because of that, Juan can't heal, so yep, we win. Whiskash is a one-shot with the Giga Drain, and Crawdaunt isn't super bulky, so it's also a one-shot. I did keep this one. Again, I don't know if I should have, because I technically could have gone to the level cap. I don't know how much that actually would have helped, so whatever. We've beaten Juan, and that's all that matters. Let's move on to the next fight. Now we get to fight Wally. This shouldn't be too bad. We miss our first Rock Blast, which is honestly expected. 80 accuracy is terrible. We hit our second one, sadly only hit twice, and then get paralyzed and then fully paralyzed. Twice. Whatever. Right, he has a Roselia. I forgot about that. I don't think the crit Giga Drain mattered. I do think that Roselia is faster than Solrock, so that was a pretty bad misplay, actually. The mistakes do not stop as I send in Corsola to, die. Time for the debut of Regirock. Remember, I did say back in the intro that I would be using it, so here it is. And it barely is able to 1v1 the Roselia. Oh dear. Random grass and water types were a problem. It goes down to Delcatty. As you can see, I brought my Rhyhorn here because I didn't think this would actually be a hard fight. The fact that it gets burned is just salt in the wound, but yeah, I've lost this fight. It's okay, we'll go again. We miss our first Rock Blast, then get hit by Dragon Breath and paralyzed, and fully paralyzed. I feel like I've seen this before. I do promise this is a new clip though. See, I missed the second Rock Blast. I really truly hate Rock-type moves. We finally land Rock Blast, it hit 4 times, and bye-bye Altaria. I've decided to not try to get experience on Rhyhorn for this fight, so here's Aggron. It's able to pretty comfortably tank 2 attacks from Roselia and cleanly one-shot it with Aerial Ace. Beautiful. Beautiful. We bring in Golem again. There's not much Magneton can do, so we magnitude it into next week, and time for the Delcatty. We hit ourselves in Confusion, and then it uses Assist and lands Giga Drain. What is happening in this fight? We send in Corsola. Ooh, decent surf damage. That's a 2-shot. Sadly, we get put to sleep. I forgot it had Sing. And then after a small amount of faint attack damage, it uses Assist and gets Giga Drain again. Okay. Great. At least we tanked this one. We wake up after we use our Citrus Berry, land another Surf, and Wally pops a full restore. I forget if he has 1 or 2, but him using this here is pretty good. 2 more Surfs will get rid of it unless we get Giga Drained again, which we don't, so very good. Here comes his Gardevoir. Hopefully I still have enough in the tank to get rid of it. I go into Regirock, we land a crit Ancient Power, and there's the first double team. Future Sight hits us for a decent amount, and we land a second Ancient Power, which is gonna make him full restore again. Okay, he does have 2. Good to know for the future. We get annihilated by Psychic after we land our third Ancient Power. Ow. We go on the Solrock and immediately lose half of our health to Future Sight. Yep, this is over. Didn't have enough in the tank, actually. Time to try again. Still leading Golem, and hopefully the first few turns play out differently. They do, as I land 2 Rock Blasts and take out the Altaria without it really doing much. We go into Aggron for the Roselia. It misses Leech Seed, which is really nice. That means after we cut it down with Aerial Ace, Magneton probably won't kill me. It misses Supersonic, and I use Dig, which I'm pretty sure is going to one-shot it. It does, and here comes the Delcatty. It misses Sing, and I hit Iron Tail, and get the defense drop. I land a second Iron Tail on the full restore turn, and take it out immediately. This is going far better. Gardevoir time, and I'm using Headbutt because I don't want to miss Iron Tail. It uses Double Team on the second turn. I luckily land my Headbutt, and then it is not able to take me out with Psychic, so I can use Aerial Ace to finish it off before the Future Sight kills me. See, all we needed was to be smart and to not get horrible luck. I really didn't think that would take 3 attempts. With Wally gone, Victory Road was mostly uneventful. There was a trainer that wiped me that did have a Wailord, but we did eventually get past him. And finally, we evolved Rhyhorn into Rhydon. I really wish I could have used this throughout the run. It came too late. After evolving Rhydon, time for our customary first try battle against the Elite Four. Leading with Regirock against Mightyena because Clear Body blocks Intimidate. We go for a superpower and surprisingly don't actually kill it. Doesn't even come close. That basically sums up the attempt. Alright, we're not screwing around. We're back at level 52 across the board. Let's get him. Intimidate does nothing because of Clear Body. We take a small amount of damage from Crunch and then cleanly one-shot with superpower. Beautiful. We go into Credillia on a failed Leech Seed, so that's pretty lucky. We use Confuse Ray, Cactur hits itself in Confusion, which is also lucky, and then we get a crit Ancient Power. The Shift Ray comes in, immediately goes for 2 double teams, which is actually fine because then it hits itself twice after that. We land an Ancient Power. I'm not thrilled with that damage, so I go into Soul Rock on the Torment. We land our Overheat, and down goes Shift Tree. Credant comes in, so back into Credillia as it sets up Swords Dance, use Giga Drain, and don't kill. For some reason it uses another Swords Dance, which means that it isn't going to do anything after the full restore turn. I get an Omni Boost on my Ancient Power use, which is beautiful. I'm pretty sure I'm going to outspeed Absol now. It comes in, I do outspeed it, land Confuser, and it hits itself in Confusion. Sadly, it hit itself again, which means that after the Citrus Berry procs, Sydney is going to full restore. It wastes a little bit of time, but after 2 Giga Drains, the Absol goes down without doing anything, and Sydney's done for. Phoebe time. I've changed up my lead going with Golem. I have Earthquake now, so I should be able to deal with both of the Dustclops. Sadly, my gamble turn 1 did not pay off. I was really hoping it would use Curse. I get crit by Shadow Punch, which is annoying, but then I screw up. I should have used Rock Blast instead of Earthquake here. Rock Blast would have taken it out. Because of pressure, I only have 1 more Earthquake to use against the second Dustclops. We do good damage with Earthquake, making the Citrus Berry go off, but I'm really wishing I had that extra use of Earthquake right now. I'm forced to go for Rock Blast, which doesn't hit enough times, which means I have to switch Golem out as Phoebe heals. Annoying, but it's fine. We go into Soul Rock, who have taught Shadow Ball to, doing a little under half, as I get hit by her Shadow Ball doing around half to me. Luckily, Rock Slide has a guaranteed flinch chance, so I'm able to take it out with another Shadow Ball after that. Bandit number 1 comes in. I don't want to risk Rock Slide, so I go for Shadow Ball, do around 2/3, and then go down. I should have gone for the Rock Slide, it definitely would have flinched. I go into Nose Pass, who fails to clean up the kill with 1 Rock Slide. Sad. This means I'm going to get hit a second time. I go for Thunder Wave just in case she full restores. She didn't, so I'm able to just remove it with Thunderbolt the following turn. Sableye comes in and amazingly Nose Pass outspeeds, which means I get to paralyze it. I go into Regirock, annoyingly getting crit by Shadow Ball. Things are looking a little dicey as I'm not even doing half with Ancient Power as I get hit by a Nightshade, which will kill me next turn. It's okay, I return the favor, crit with my next Ancient Power, and down goes the Sableye. The second Bandit comes in, I go into Credillia. After confusing it, we just go for Giga Drain. This will be a 2-shot if Bandit hits itself. It does, and we're able to win the fight pretty easily. We have a type advantage now, hooray! We'll ignore the Glacier's team is half water. I'm pretty sure with an Amnesia, Credillia is able to sweep her team pretty easily, so let's give it a try. Celio number 1 is a quick 2-shot with an Ancient Power followed by a Giga Drain. Celio number 2, surprisingly, also is a 2-shot. I'm pretty sure that one's a range. This is going basically exactly as I expected. We get outsped by Wall Rain and immediately frozen by Ice Beam. That was the only thing that could have gone wrong. That or Sheer Cold, which she does go for against Corsola. Luckily it misses. We get surfed on the next turn, go for our Mirror Coat, and don't even come close to taking it out. We did activate the Citrus Berry, so that's really good. Corsola goes down, Solrock comes in and outspeeds, and done. The Wall Rain problem is solved. Unfortunately, we don't one-shot the Glalie, and we get crit by Icy Wind. She's gonna heal so I can go for another Rock Slide, but unfortunately I have to switch up because it is going to crunch me. Which it does. I go into Regirock and get a very needed Omni Boost on my Ancient Power. And then I get another one on the next Glalie. Superpower is probably going to decimate this thing 2 times over, so we go for it, and yeah, quick and easy one-shot. Very easy fight. Unlike the last fight, Drake could go either way. Annoyingly, Shelgon protects twice. Surprisingly, Golem actually outspeeds, so I only get hit by 1 Dragon Claw before 2 Earthquakes get rid of it. Kingdra, the bane of my existence, comes in and instantly washes away Golem. Expected. What I didn't expect is that Nose Pass also goes down in 1 hit. Alright, save me, Credillia. Unfortunately, as we land a Confuse Ray, we also get hit by Smokescreen. I don't want to deal with the accuracy drop, so I switch out and go into Regirock. Kingdra hits itself on the switch. I try to set up a curse, but oh my god, Kingdra did so much damage with that serve. I guess I should have attacked. Kingdra snaps out, and bye-bye Regirock. Alright, back to Credillia. While we don't get Smokescreened, we instead get crit, which I actually prefer. I can heal the damage with Giga Drain. I can't get rid of the accuracy drop if I can't switch out. I go for my Amnesia so I don't take as much damage. Giga Drain is not doing nearly as much as I want, but I should be able to sustain all the damage. That plus Kingdra hitting itself, especially now that it's starting to Dragon Dance, it should be fine. Drake uses a full restore, and then yeah, we heal off almost all of the body slam damage. No, Smokescreen. And then we miss twice. It ends up being fine in the end. We don't miss again, and Kingdra hits itself enough to prevent Drake from using another full restore. I'm not sure he even would have, but we don't have to deal with it, which is all that matters. Cordelia is all tapped out at this point, so I sack it to put in Soul Rock. Soul Rock was really fun to use during this Elite Four. I think I changed its moveset around 3 times, opting for Calm Mind Psychic for this fight. Altaria cannot stop going for Dragon Dance for some reason, and we take it out after 3 Psychics. The special defense drop in the crit mattered. Drake's Ace comes in. I know I won't die to Crunch unless I get crit, which I don't. Then I crit it with Psychic, making the Citrus Berry get used. Really good. We go down, and all we have left is Corsola. I'm able to get rid of Salamence with Ice Beam, but I'm unfortunately not going to be able to do the same to Flygon, who is going to be able to come in and Earthquake me, ending the attempt. The Kingdra was not fun. Oh well, that showed a lot of promise. I'm going to go back in without any grinding. I took away a lot from our first battle with Drake, so this second battle should go better. The keyword is should. He still does have a Kingdra after all. Shelgon vs Golem goes pretty much the same as it did before. The Rock Tomb was far preferable to another Protect, so we'll take it. We are not going to sack a Golem here. I switch out and go into Credilli, taking a Surf for about a quarter, and then sadly getting smoke screened. I'm going to just deal with the accuracy drop and hope that I don't miss too much. We exchange Dragon Dance for Amnesia, and then I'm able to confuse it. Kingdra goes down after 2 Giga Drains and 2 instances of self-damage. Absolutely perfect. A bit lucky, but we'll take it. Altaria comes in and starts Dragon Dancing, as I chunk it for about 40% with Ancient Power. Sadly will not be a 2-shot. That means he's going to heal. On the turn that he does, I land Confuse Ray and then swap into Golem. Unfortunately, Confusion goes away and we get paralyzed by Dragon Breath, followed by getting fully paralyzed. Twice. Strange. I feel this exact series of events has already occurred multiple times during this run. I must be imagining things. We go into Nose Pass, land a Thunder Wave as it goes for Dragon Dance, and then get a big Rock Slide crit, followed by a big miss. It's okay, it was fully paralyzed, it's fine. We take it out next turn, and then the Flygon comes in. I go into Soul Rock, correctly predicting Earthquake. However, I forgot Flygon had Crunch, so after I get chunked while using Calm Mind, I decide to Panic Explode just to get rid of the Flygon. Very lucky I didn't get paralyzed by Dragon Breath there. Corsola should be able to 1v1 Salamence. Those are words you probably never expected to hear. We take a Dragon Claw for a little over half before almost one-shotting with Ice Beam. Both of our Citrus Berries will go off, which means Drake will not heal. I survive a second Dragon Claw badly on 5 HP, but it's just enough to take out the Salamence with the second Ice Beam. Told you Corsola could do it. I never lost faith. What I have no faith in, though, is how we're going to do against the champion. If Juan was any indicator, we're going to be here a while. Let's get him. We lead Credilli and use turn 1 Amnesia because, obviously, this is almost definitely going to be the Credilli show, so let's just get it started immediately. We get a huge crit Giga Drain, which doesn't one-shot. This is actually perfect. This is going to be the first full restore out of 4. Water Spout does an absolutely laughable amount of damage. That was a rain-boosted crit and it did 33. Wallace heals, and Wailord goes down after 2 Giga Drains and 1 Ancient Power, doing a grand total of 3 damage with Water Spout. Love to see it. You also love to see both the rain going away and Milotic coming in. We don't get frozen and land a Toxic, putting it on a timer. Giga Drain is going to be good enough to sustain me, until I get hit by Toxic. I forgot Milotic had this. I didn't have to worry about it during my last run, so it completely slipped my mind. It is at this point I realize that I need to be careful with my Giga Drain usage. I think I've used 5, and I need probably 2 for Whiscash, maybe 3, depending on when it comes in. Milotic doesn't heal, and goes down after Toxic damage, which is really nice. Annoyingly, Tentacruel comes in. Makes sense, but I wanted to see something else. I make a mistake here also. I should have switched out here instead of staying in. Taking that Sludge Bomb was actually really bad. So yeah, I blew it there. I go into Corsola on a Sludge Bomb, not taking a lot. Unfortunately, it Toxics me as I go for Mirror Coat. The bigger problem is it misses its next Hydro Pump, making me take another round of chip damage. The biggest problem though is that we get crit on the next turn. I think I would have been able to take a non-crit Hydro Pump, so that really sucks. But wait, there's more. Regirock's Earthquake leaves Tentacruel on a sliver of HP, which means Wallace is going to full restore. I'm not getting any luck here. We do around 2/3 with Earthquake and then get blasted by Hydro Pump and go down. The fight is basically over at this point. Nose Pass gets decimated by Hydro Pump, and then due to being badly demoralized, I make yet another mistake. I put in Credilli and it just goes down to a Sludge Bomb. Yeah, I'm not playing super well here. It misses another Hydro Pump. We're not out of it yet. Unfortunately though, I was trying to be cute with Soul Rock. I removed both Rock Slide and Psychic for Sunny Day and Solar Beam. Yep, I'll just let the damage here speak for itself. This is highly embarrassing. I was banking on not fighting Tentacruel with Soul Rock, but oh well, here we are. Gyarados comes in, intimidates me, and then curiously goes for Earthquake. I guess Surf wouldn't kill with the sun up? Anyways, we go boom. And because of Intimidate, yeah, another full restore is coming. Golem is my last hope. It might be able to defeat the Gyarados. We land Rock Blast, get a crit first hit, and only hit twice. Sad. We get washed away on the next turn. That showed promise. There was a lot of bad luck, and I played like garbage. I'm gonna go back in at this level. I believe my team can do it. Alright, we made it back without a problem. I really hope we play a little bit better this time. We kind of need it. We unfortunately do not crit Wailord, which means I have to use 4 Giga Drains unless I want to play with the risk of a Blizzard crit or freeze or rain going back up, which I really don't want to do. Luckily Blizzard missed on the final turn, so we're at full HP for Milotic. We dodge Toxic and then land Confuse Ray. Wait a minute, why do I have Confuse Ray? I may or may not have forgotten to teach Credilli a vital move. Don't tell anyone. This is going to be what does me and I can feel it. Sadly, we only get a 1-turn Confuse. Luckily, it did hit itself, though. We sadly get hit by Toxic. Really wish it had missed, but whatever. The bigger problem is that I'm on my last Giga Drain, and I need to use it. I don't think Ancient Power is going to do this for me. It was, of course, another 1-turn Confuse, but crucially, it did not use Recover, and goes down to Giga Drain. I think Ancient Power would have needed it to hit itself there. All that matters is that Milotic is gone. With no more Giga Drains, Credilli is actually dead weight at this point, so I leave it in to try to get as much damage on Tentacruel as possible. Unfortunately, that means 0 damage because Tentacruel is able to Sludge Bomb me through the confusion. We go into Soul Rock, and it was a 1-turn Confuse again. Bye-bye Soul Rock. We go into Regirock, and kaboom! Bye-bye Tentacruel. That was what I was trying to do with Soul Rock, but it didn't work out. Wow, Nose Pass tank to Surf from Gyarados. I didn't expect that, actually. That means I get to Thunder Wave it. We Thunderbolt and do around half, and Gyarados is fully paralyzed. I think we got it. It survives on a sliver of HP. That is soul-crushing. We're able to Thunder Wave on the heel turn, but we need another Paralysis, which we don't get. I take a risk here. I go into Corsola instead of Golem. If I can get an Omni Boost or 2, I might have a fighting chance. We Ancient Power, don't get the boost. This is healing range, I guess, because Gyarados chugs another full restore. We again don't get an Omni Boost, but then we surprisingly tank an Earthquake. You gotta take the little victories sometimes. We go down, and you've seen this before, Golem just gets washed into next week. Alright, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm going to the level cap because I think I'm going to need too much luck to win at level 52. Alright, we're back at 55. As a very quick reminder, Credilli is level 57 because Glacia kindly donated 7 billion experience. It was 55 against Sydney, I promise, so the extra level's here. They mean Wailord is now going to get 2-shot, which is really good for my Giga Drain power points. Unfortunately, Milotic is probably going to get a full restore. Hooray, I remembered to teach Toxic. And then we dodge a Toxic. This is going great. We get a really big Giga Drain hit that makes the Citrus Berry go off. With the poison damage, I don't know if he's going to heal. I hope he doesn't. Okay, he does. That is a shame. You can see I go for Giga Drain there because I thought he wouldn't heal, instead of Toxic, which we do land on the following turn. Also dodging another one. That is really lucky, actually. Milotic doesn't use Recover, so after 2 more Giga Drains, it is out of here. Hopefully for the rest of this video, too. We level up, and here's the Tentacruel. I'm actually going to stay in and take a risk here. Credilli finally gets hit by Toxic, and does about a quarter with Ancient Power. We trade Sludge Bombs for Ancient Powers. However, on the 3rd turn, I go for Giga Drain instead of Ancient Power. Ancient Power almost surely would not have killed, and as you can see, I have a Lepa Berry. Was it risky? Yes, absolutely. Would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. I switch out into Regirock on the full restore turn, and you know what's coming. We explode, getting rid of Tentacruel. I bring in Nose Pass on the Gyarados, and immediately go down to Surf. I guess I got a minimum damage roll before because I'm 3 levels higher now, oh dear. We go into Corsola, tank an Earthquake, land our Ancient Power, and get an Omni Boost. You love to see it. We get to attack again. My Citrus Berry goes off, and then I go down to Earthquake. Dang, I didn't think I would get outsped after the speed boost. Oh well, we've learned that Corsola is slow, I guess. I go into Soul Rock, use Calm Mind. We still take a bunch of damage there, but it's fine. We have a Citrus Berry. We can take another one if we need to. I land a Rock Slide, and there goes the Gyarados. Alright, Ludicolo. This thing has Double Team, so I use Explosion immediately because I don't want to see it anymore. I feel that's a pretty common and understandable sentiment. It goes down, and here we go. Time to see if Credilli outspeeds Whiscash, and it does. Wonderful. I surprisingly don't take it out in one hit, but it's completely fine. We're gonna get tons of health back. And yep, the fight is over. He's locked into healing now, and the Toxic damage will not be able to outpace the Giga Drain healing. So after a few turns of this, Whiscash goes down, and we've won. Ugh. That was actually the first try at level 55. Really happy with that. So how did Rock do? With a time of 22 hours and 57 minutes, it actually did worse than Poison. A shame. It was on pace for a really good time. I guess all that late game grinding really added up. However, we are not done yet. Time for our throwdown with Steven. I think this is going to go very badly. We lead Nose Pass against Skarmory, it wastes the turn on Spikes, and I land Thunder Wave. Thunderbolt is doing around a quarter, which is fine. We surprisingly tank a Steel Wing, which means I get a 3rd Thunderbolt. We go down to a 2nd Steel Wing, so I go into Soul Rock to set up a Calm Mind. Soul Rock also tanks a Steel Wing, which is really nice. What is really bad though is that we miss Fire Blast, and that's the fight. The Skarmory has 2 defense boosts from Steel Wing, and it is about to get a full restore. I'm going to just speed through this. I thought I could at least get rid of the Skarmory. That Fire Blast miss was devastating. Hey look, Relicanth actually got used, and Steven must really hate that because he swaps into Aggron just to use Earthquake against it. At least that means we got to damage Aggron. I'll take it. Alright, so after that catastrophe of a fight, time to go over how Rock did overall. Again, the time was 22 hours and 57 minutes. If only the game ended at Norman, then this would have been an S+ tier. However, it doesn't. All the grinding for the water trainers really ruined it. We'll begin with the catching portion of the run. Rock wasn't too bad here, aside from a few glaring problems. The smallest of the problems is you need to backtrack for nose pass after Watson. It isn't really a problem, but I will mention it. The bigger problems: you need to do the Reggie side quest, which means you need to find a Relicanth. If you've never done this before, catching things underwater is really slow. I actually had to leave to go get an Oddish for Sweet Scent because that was actually faster than encountering things normally. Really bad. Relicanth is at least a 5% and not a 1 or 2%, so it could have been worse. But still, this was a problem. And to go along with this, you need a Whaler. I'm pretty sure Whaler is a 1% encounter on a water route, so just leveling up a Whaler is faster. The even bigger problem than the Reggie quest: Rock has some dead weight. Needing to experience share a Slugma up to level 38 so it can evolve into Magcargo at the absolute worst point for it to evolve is absolutely awful. If that had evolved at level 31 or 32, it probably could have gotten use against Winona and actually have been able to contribute to the run, but as it was, completely useless. Rhyhorn was the other dead weight. Unlike Magcargo, Rhydon is a really good Pokemon. It's a real shame that it's basically unusable in-game. You get it just before all the water, and it has no move pool to speak of. If you got it earlier and it actually had a rock move, it probably could have seen quite a bit of use, but as it was, you have Graveler. Graveler is way better, so that is really unfortunate. With the negatives out of the way, let's talk about positives. You get a really good starter. Geodude is absolutely incredible, and the pacing for when you get your first few party members isn't bad. You get options. With that said, I'm going to give Rock-type C tier. I think that the glaring issues are really bad. I could be persuaded to put it at the bottom of B tier, but we'll have to see how future types go. Alright, with catching done, how did Rock actually handle the gym leaders in the Elite Four? Again, and I cannot overstate this enough, if the game ended at Norman, this is probably the best type in the game. It is that good. The early game is such a joke. Rival 2 is the one and only problem trainer in the early game, and he wasn't even that bad. Brawly should be a problem because he has an advantage on you, but Geodude is so good that it can just punch through all of Brawly's Pokemon, and it just isn't a problem. I can't sing Geodude's praises enough. No other trainer up to and including Norman is worth talking about. That is how dominant Rock performed for the first 50 to 60% of the game. However, it falls off a cliff real hard, real fast. Of the gym leaders post-Norman, only Tate and Liza aren't bad. Rock has an advantage against Winona. I thought that fight would be easy, but this is where the biggest problem with the Rock type as a whole comes in. Rock is a really bad defensive type, and at that point in the game, everything begins to get coverage moves that beat Rock. Of Winona's 5 Pokemon, 4 of them have super effective coverage on most Rock types. Tate and Liza weren't too bad, but oh boy, Juan. I'm pretty sure I attempted Juan over 20 times, not even counting the fact that Water beats Rock. His Kingdra is a nightmare. I'm not actually sure I would have been able to defeat him with my rule set if I had taken Armaldo instead of Credilli. However, I think being roadblocked late is far better than being roadblocked early, because in the late game, you probably have options, and I definitely did with my team. So even though Juan took me well over 20 attempts, it actually wasn't too bad. The Elite Four surprisingly weren't that bad. It didn't take me that long to figure them out, and getting to see Corsola 1v1 Drake Salamence, always good. Wallace, however, was a problem, surprising absolutely nobody. Unlike Juan, who just had one big problem, Wallace's team was more suited to actually fighting Credilli. Wallace's Pokemon were just tanky enough that Giga Drain's 8 power points was actually quite the conundrum. Pairing that with the fact that 2 of his Pokemon had Toxic, it was actually a really fun fight, and I highly enjoyed it. I probably shouldn't have, considering I was using a team of Rock types, but it ended up being really enjoyable. Wish I could say that was true for Juan too, but no. He was terrible. With Juan being the exception, once everything started getting coverage, I lost more to random trainers than I did to any of the important trainers, including the Elite Four. If a trainer had, like, a Roselia or a Tentacruel, and I was unprepared, there was a good chance I would just lose that fight. But what are you gonna do? For all of Rock's negatives, Rock actually does have a lot going for it despite the coverage problems. Aside from most of the moves' shaky accuracy, Rock is really good offensively, and I had a lot of cool options that I could play with during the run. I had things like Mirror Coat, of course Explosion, can't forget that. Solrock's move pool in particular was really fun. Even though my Solar Beam strategy didn't pan out, it was cool that I could at least try it. So with all that said, where am I going to put Rock? Well, for starters, I'm going to be moving Poison down to B tier. I figured I would be doing this, and now that I've done 2 runs, I have a slightly better idea about how I want to tier this. Bear with me because I probably still need more experience. So with Poison in B tier, I am also going to put Rock type into B tier, ahead of Poison. If you asked me to pick one of these 2 types to do another run with, I would choose to do Rock again. Even though the last 40% of the run was kind of miserable, the fact that the first part, including what I believe to be the hardest portion of the game, which is Rival 2 to Norman, was so easy, I would definitely choose to do Rock again over Poison. Geodude and Graveler are the absolute perfect starter for this run. The early and mid game would not be nearly as easy if it wasn't so good. And even though it did fall off late game, it bows out just in time for Credilli to take center stage. Credilli was so good. Again, I don't know if the run would have been possible without it. It did feel like a mandatory choice. I apologize to our Maldo fans. You'll get to see it during the bug run, I promise. With all that said, that was the rock type. I really hope you enjoyed it. Ugh, first poison, then rock? These are strange types. I think I may need to do a more normal type during my next Emerald run. Alrighty then. Bye bye.